ready? Audrey, are you ready? Are you? I think so. Hello and welcome to another episode of Heather and Hops. My name is Kat or Catherine and I am now a year-long knitter living in Hertfordshire, which is just outside of London, which is the United Kingdom. Yeah, I created this channel in a time of not need, but when I was going through one of the roughest times in my life, to be quite honest. It's still not completely clear what it was, but I had a combination of probably two quite nasty things at the same time. And at the time, doctors and people surrounding me didn't quite understand the gravity of how bad I really was. And I started this channel to document my knitting journey, as it was something that I found, even though I had absolutely no energy. I was basically in bed for 6 months at least. I could actually do it, and I felt like I was moving, I was connecting with people, and I got to learn, which kept my brain very busy. Being someone that's quite active, used to running and practicing yoga. I practice yoga on and off the mat where I can, be nice. And Bill and Ted basically say it best, be excellent to each other. Yeah, so I started this channel, and quite quickly there was a few people that I managed to connect with, and it gave me a platform to kind of rehumanize myself in a time where I didn't really feel human. So I thought, as it has been a year now, and I'm again in quite a different situation, but another quite transitional period in my life, which I will talk about more. It has been a year, almost to the day whenever this will go up. I'm actually filming the day before we fly to Oslo, which is really exciting. So it will be my first quite large yarn show. It will be my first yarn show with QING FIBRE, and it will be my first European yarn show. So that's really exciting to me, and I thought before I go I would film this video, and what I'm going to do is talk about all of the jumpers or cardigans that I have made this year since I started. I'm not going to talk about unfinished projects, I'm not going to talk about t-shirts or short-sleeved ones. I just thought it'd be quite fun to do a recap of all the jumpers, because I've actually got the pile of the ones that I have, and it's more than I thought. There's a lot of learning here and a lot of mistakes, but that's life is, we're human. So if you want to sit and join me, that would be lovely. I have a cup of coffee, which is my last cup from the lovely Becca from the Little Home Designs. She sent me a lovely care package a while back, and I don't think she understands quite how much that meant to me. And this is the last Australian coffee I have in the house, so I'm savouring it, and I've got it with my raw milk, and it's a treat. It's a real treat. So I might, after about 20 minutes of filming, I might suddenly be really, really awake and talk a little bit quicker maybe, or even a bit clearer, I'm not sure. But I don't anticipate this being too long. I'm not going to spend too long on each item, but I thought this would be quite a nice way to see how far I've come and where I'm at in my little knitting journey. Oh yeah, by now my favourite pattern that I've designed to date, which is scary to say because it is kind of really a design, the hat pattern, which is called Dreaming Slow, which is named after a Mac DeMarco song, has been released by now. I've already finished 4 hats. It's a really, really quick knit, and I really, really enjoy knitting up the pattern. So yeah, there's that. Let's start. Unless, Audrey, are you going to come and get involved? No. So the first, I'm going to talk quickly about the crochet, just because that was really what enabled me to knit. I previously tried to knit and I just couldn't understand at all. And I think because I learnt to crochet right-handed. I'm a left-handed person generally. I mix it up. I'm quite ambidextrous, but I think the holding of the yarn in the left hand made it a lot easier to learn, and when I discovered Continental, it clicked. So if you're a new knitter and that you've struggled too, maybe that's something to give a go. So this was a huge little feat. This was a cardigan that I'm going to put this one on actually. I got really excited, probably too excited, and look, I have to fold the sleeves a good few times to wear this. I think it's just double crochet, half double crochet along. It was knit in, crocheted in basically in pieces, and this was a John Lewis, which is like one of our big department stores over in the UK, own brand wool. It was 80% wool and 20% acrylic, or maybe the opposite way around. I really enjoyed knitting this. I will try crocheting this. Try and find a link to the pattern because it is a free pattern, and she actually has some really lovely other patterns, and I think that's what my other jumpers I'm going to show you were. But this has seen quite a lot of wear actually. It's quite good in the mornings when it's a bit colder. It's not been cold for quite a while. And although there's a few ends that I still have not weaved in because I'm a bit of a monkey, this has almost been not downgraded, but it's kind of being used as my working jumper. So when I am outside working on the car or in the garden and it's a bit chilly, this is the sort of one that I throw on. Oh, hi! Do you want to come and say hi? Come on in. Come on. Oh, bless her. She couldn't get up. I'm wearing a silky skirt too, which doesn't make it easy, does it? Kitten break. What do you think? Should we show this one? So this was the next one I knitted, crocheted, and this was the one that I started when I was working in a place called Dinosaurs in the Wild in Greenwich, which was really, really fun. It was like an immersive experience where you go on a jeep and then you go around an adventure park of dinosaurs. It was a bit like going into Jurassic Park. And again, it was a very similar pattern. Oh, what are you doing? I'll try and show you. What are you doing, you monkey? Oh, no. I don't know. She's just having a little sit down on my items. So this was a really simple jumper. Again, if you're learning to crochet or you're learning to knit but are really scared of garments, I will try and find the pattern once more and link to this because it's a fantastic sort of way in. It's got a bit of seaming, which was probably very good practice for me. It's just something that I'm not very good at. And again, this was a John Lewis acrylic wool blend because I didn't know about wool, but I was really nervous about spending money on something that I was then gonna, well, potentially not work. So I think that's important. It's important to find that balance. Don't feel obliged to spend money on yarn, but equally the tools and the yarn you do use does make a difference to the outcome. It will last, and I'll show you a few items that as we go. So I have knitted, and I won't bother talking about the rest, but because they're the same, I've knitted crocheted three of these for myself. I've really got carried away. I knitted a brown one, a navy one, and then I used scraps to make this other one, and this was the one that I wore to the top of, where was it? Maybe it was one of the Monroes anyway. It was a small one, Monroe in Scotland. There's quite a fun picture of us sat at the top. So then I moved on to some slightly nicer yarn. This was leftovers from a yoga mat bag that I made, and I can't remember for the life of me what it is, but it is a loop London yarn. It almost looks like some sort of singles. It's definitely wool. And then this one was actually, we have a sort of, not a department store, but an everything shop called Wilkinson's, or Wilco's as the locals call it. And I believe that was just their tweed. So it's quite a good cardigan. It's the same near enough as the first one, but I changed it to have double crochets for the main, and I added a pocket too. Again, this hasn't seen that much wear, but I don't really know why. It's quite comfortable. Yeah, quite. If you, like I said, if you are nervous about knitting garments, maybe try and crochet them. Then they definitely have a very different feel, which is why I have leaned in so much to knitting. But yeah, some good colours here. I'll show you. It's definitely a autumny meets summer, so I could probably start wearing this now. Yeah, now I can organise my clothing. And then this one again, this was a pattern I believe again by the same designer. I really love this cardigan. I actually crocheted this one to replace a red one that I had that my dad bought me when I was 11 years old. This wool is the WI, Women's Institute, premium acrylic, and actually if you need something that's quite easy to wash and you're really adverse to wool, this yarn feels amazing. It's really, really soft. It's really simple. Maybe would have it a bit higher up the V nowadays, but these buttons were from the original cardigan from when I was 11, so it's really nice to repurpose them. And I do get a bit of wear out of this one. I really recommend it. I will try and pop it along there. And then finally, I did knit Alex a roll neck jumper too, knit crochet in the brown, so we did have matching ones, and I did do a men's version, which was, yeah, it was quite easy because I just crocheted around him, not literally, but I did it and kept getting him to try it on and try the bits around his body. So that is one of the beautiful things. Mohair, it gets everywhere, sorry. Yeah, one of the beautiful things about making items yourself is if they are for you or someone that you know very well, you can try it on. Amazing. And then this one, so I have dungarees that I wear quite a bit, especially when I'm working, and I kept finding that though those jumpers are lovely, they didn't sit high enough to be neat. They kept frumping over the frumping. Those jumpers just kept frumping. So I wanted to make myself a cropped one, and this one I actually made up the pattern for myself. I have lovingly named this the Monica because it is the same set of stitches that I used on a scarf that I crocheted for her as a thank you for letting us stay. I really, really actually love this jumper. It doesn't see, none of them see enough wear. That's because it's summer. Okay. I haven't been wearing it very much because it is summer in the UK, and I do run quite warm normally anyway until it's winter, and then I really need to layer up, which is good being a knitter. So yeah, I must try and figure out what this combination of stitches is again, because I really love it and I would actually like to knit a blanket for my hammock out of it. So yeah, designed to be worn with dungarees. Again, I believe this is Women's Institute Premium Acrylic. It really does feel nice, and it seems to have lasted quite well. There's a little bit of wear to it, as you can see, but really, considering it's been inside dungarees, it's holding up all right. So, the knitting begins. So When I crocheted Monica her scarf, I ordered from Blacker Yarns, and I had been using Blacker Yarns for a little while before, maybe a couple of years, maybe even 3. Where I have a love interest with processes, so coffee, chocolate, pepper, beer, whiskey, I really love to know the process of where things came from, how it's made. That jumped into yarn when I decided to start crocheting again, and I discovered Blacker Yarns, and I knew that I really wanted to start knitting, and I went onto the Blacker Yarns website. They had their 13th birthday celebration yarn tour, and this beautiful pattern, which is the HEXWORTHY by Casey Bean Green, who is, I go on about her quite a little bit, but she is one of my favourite people in the knitting world. She's got a very calm persona, very thoughtful, very kind, and the work she does is beautiful. I have her poster up on my wall next to my knitting machine. I love my little Jacob wooden badge that I have from her, and obviously because the first jumper I ever knitted was one of her patterns, she holds a very dear place in my heart. I'm really pleased with this one. I have got to admit I did not check gauge, so it's probably a bit smaller than it should be, but actually it fits me really, really well, and it got wore a lot this winter. The wool, as you can see, really has lasted very well. I believe that this is just in a crew colour and this one is dyed. And for my first bit of colour work, again, not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. My floats don't look, I mean, I'd definitely be happy to show them to people, I think. Yeah. So, if you're a new knitter and you're a bit nervous, this is quite a good one. If you're not too, I think the less you know, almost the better. If you don't know that colour work is a little bit trickier than just stockinette, you just do it. If you have nerves and hold on to that sort of stress about it, you can't stress over knitting, you can't stress over yarn. And if you do, like, oh, come and have a chat, let's talk it out, let go of that energy. So yeah, I love this jumper, and I can imagine some point wanting to make another one. You know, maybe on their 15th or 20th birthday or something, and they release another yarn. I'm going to start trying to fold these. I didn't fold the first one, so it's going to be quite a process putting them away again. I'm going to try and do these in order, but in truth I can't really remember, and there are a few missing for various reasons, be that some of the summer samples or gifts. This one I love too. I believe this featured in a Lane magazine, not this one, but the pattern, which is a beautiful magazine, which is quite a sad story that I won't go into. But it's Jennifer Steingass pattern. It had, I believe it had 2 or 3 rows of 3 colour stranded working. Yes. Stranded colour work using 3 different colours. That is 3, that is 2, remember that. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern, and I loved knitting with this wool. Again, it's a little bit controversial. Everyone seems to be more veering towards merinos and super softs, but I really love this yarn. This is Let Loppy, an Icelandic wool. It's very affordable, I believe. It's really lasted well, and the colour work, I mean, I really love this one. They have so many colours, therefore so many options for this jumper, or any jumper that you knit in this wool. Again, I was naughty, I didn't swatch. I realised that I was quite a loose knitter, which is lucky because I kept knitting the smallest sizes, where really I should maybe have opted for something with a bit more ease because of the nature of this jumper being so big, like so warm and snuggly. You kind of want that in the winter, but when I was working outside at events, I just had one layer of thermal on, this and my dungarees over the top, and a pair of thermal leggings underneath, and I was able to spend all day outside. Pretty good, pretty good. Highly recommend this wool if you are living in a colder climate or you have any reason to do work outdoors. So this is another love of mine. So if you knit or if you breathe, you probably know of Skein Knits, who has a podcast and also designs. So one of the first things I ever knit was Kate Davies mittens, and then quickly fell in love with colourwork mittens and proceeded to knit 3 pairs of the Evia mittens by Skein. I also found an interest in natural dyeing, so I did a little bit of natural dyeing on some blacker wool. Again, I believe the colours that I dyed were Jacob. I'm not sure about this grey, but I knitted the Vinterfjell. I can't remember what it's called. I believe it's like something along those lines, by Skein. All naturally dyed, apart from this, which is the acrylic colour that it came as. I really love this. This is really cute with high-waisted jeans. Again, it's a little bit snug. I really seem to have a habit of just casting on and not really thinking about sizes, but it does fit me. I do love it. There's a chance that I might consider gifting it to someone that is a lot smaller than me so they can have quite an oversized jumper. Maybe someone little. It is quite, it's quite a small person's colours, right? The greens and the pinks. But I loved this one. This was a really, really fun project to knit, and it did knit up really quickly. I found that I kind of couldn't stop doing the colour work, so even though I had projects on my needle, it just seemed to fly off. Oh, bless her. Bring it here and I'll throw it for you. She's wanting to play fetch. I believe this one was next. As if you are a viewer that's been here for a little while, you will probably know that I quite enjoy knitting Caitlin Hunter patterns. I think a lot of the knitting world does now. Oh dear. Let's see if I can get... What are you doing, you munchkin? Hmm? Oh, I know. You want this one? Ready? Ready? Up. Come here. I know. Where are you going? What? Right, I'm going to film the rest. So, Caitlin Hunter. So one of the first things that obviously you do once you've completed a few projects and you feel a little bit more comfortable is cast on a SWONCHO, which is basically an all-over colourwork jumper that uses like 1,500 metres of wool. But I'm really pleased I did. I have worn this so much. This is the SWONCHO by Caitlin Hunter. I modified it, even though I was a very new knitter, so that I finished the colourwork a lot sooner. I divided for the sleeves a lot sooner than was recommended. It's recommended to split it here, so you only have this much sleeve, but for me, that's highly impractical. So I split it quite further up, and other than that, I don't think I made any modifications or anything to it. I maybe could have gone smaller on my ribbing, on the needles, maybe could have done a maybe even tighter bind off. I mean, it looks fine. This has really seen a lot of wear, so I'm surprised the yarn's holding up as well as it is. This is West Yorkshire Spinners, and it is their Jacob base, which I have used a lot and would like to continue using. I I just find, for me as a knitter, it's really enjoyable to knit. It's a little bit rustic, it's a little bit sticky. The colours are natural, which really sings to my heart. It really does. As you can see, I don't have all that much like this, and that's just because life happens. You don't, you know, you find what you like and you curveball. Yeah. So this pattern I do highly recommend if you're looking for something to layer up in the winter. And even if you are a new knitter, it's definitely doable. I mean, I think I did a very good job, and I'm quite proud of this item and how much wear it's got. And then this is sort of a two job, so we'll cover this quickly. Again, ESPACE TRICOT has a podcast. They are wonderful people, really kind, and seem to be doing some really nice things. Pattern releases especially. And I believe Lisa designed this one, and it's the turtle dove. Sorry, I'm getting some, should turn that on silent. The turtle dove, this has come out a bit different because I did want it to be a lot smaller. I didn't want an oversized jumper. I wanted something that I could wear on top of high-waisted skirts, high-waisted trousers in the winter, and maybe put a big cardigan over the top. So this is my turtle dove, knitted in Juniper Moon Farm, STRATUSS, and this I believe is Black Diamond, the colourway. I think they've discontinued it now. I'm not sure. But this is a really, really good pattern to knit as one of your first patterns. I'm saying that as if anyone's a new knitter still. If you are, welcome, and this podcast might be very useful. If you are not, I apologise. But equally, if you need projects that are, you know, maybe almost a palette cleanser or the equivalent, this is a fantastic pattern. There's so many different yarns you could do this into. I kind of would love to do a big oversized one in mohair because I really have a thing for mohair. So I knitted this one, I did it short sleeved, cropped, it's very fitted, it got quite a bit of wear, so I almost immediately cast on another one in mustard because mustard is good. I did it a lot longer sleeves, slightly more oversized, but still fairly fitted. I used to be really drawn, I keep saying this, used to be really drawn to autumn colours. That's basically all I wore. And I had a phase of wearing nothing. Mohair again, but sort of red, orange and primary blue a few years back. So I thought that this would be perfect for that, but I actually have, I'm going to put my phone on silent. It's going really well today. I am doing this in a little bit of a rush. I've got to pack and I've got a few other things I'd like to get done today. But I also really wanted to film and I really wanted to make sure that I had it here and ready to go because I really love connecting with people. It's been such a pleasure chatting to some of the knitters that I've met and just having those little interactions of appreciating similar things is really, it's really good. So thank you for joining me. Yeah, I haven't worn this quite as much as I thought I would, but who knows? Autumn/winter is coming. So this new year I was going to cast it on New Year's Day as a 2019 cast on. Instead I cast it on New Year's Eve because I'm cheeky. Another designer/yarn dyer and designer that I truly love is Emily Foden of Viola and the Moon, and she released a pattern book called Knits About Winter, and it is absolutely stunning from the models used in it, the photography, the designs, the yarns she uses, everything about it's beautiful. I really can't afford to buy her yarn, but there is a lovely dyer called Spectrum Fibre who was on Etsy but is now sufficient enough and is selling in her own shop, which is amazing. and I fell in love with her smoke colourway, and I knitted Emily Foden's Soiree. This, I really expected it to take months, and it absolutely flew off the needles considering I'd never done a cable. I didn't really understand what I was doing at the basket weave. I think it's called basket weave on the side before I cast it on. But I think it's absolutely stunning. This has seen a lot of wear. I've been wearing this winter, summer, basically all the time. Again, I think I didn't check my gauge. So it is a little bit smaller than, or quite a bit smaller than what is suggested, but this fits me perfectly. This is, as far as a fitted jumper goes, this is my ideal. It's got a really nice neckline for me. I'm not really one for low necklines, apart from the ranunculus, which we'll talk about quite a bit, I should imagine. I love the rolled hems. Beautiful pattern. I think this was the jumper that turned me from colour work entirely to thinking more about texture. There's a few niggles here, like I actually didn't realise at this point I was purling backwards, so this jumper might look very different from what other people have been knitting. My short rows, some of them look a bit funky, I believe they're short rows. Maybe I figured it out, and maybe I figured it out and I was actually untwisting stitches and all sorts to begin with. Plodding on, making it work. But if you want to gift like a book to another knitter, or you're looking for something slightly different in terms of design, I do really recommend Emily. That Knits About Winter book is just stunning. It makes my heart sing. I actually knitted, there's a hat called the Sky Hill hat. I'm just going to push you away a little bit, sorry. And I think I knitted 3 of those because it's just a really nice thing to knit on. Really warm too. You hold DK double. So yeah, moving on. This is another item that I've worn so much. This is the Cherry by Knit MIDORI Cafe. I would love to knit up another one. And I'm just figuring out what colour. Like, this seems to be just the ultimate, really. It is quite a lovely oversized piece. This is the Smoke colourway again by Spectrum Fibre. The little bit of colour work is, I think it's just a Rowan Kid Silk Mohair. A really lovely pattern, a very fast pattern to knit up. This pattern has lots of options, so you could do it so that arms don't gather. You could probably do it long sleeve, short sleeve. You could do it longer than mine or shorter than mine. You could hold. You could do it in worsted weight because that's the gauge. This is at, I believe. You could just do worsted weight for the little spots. That might be fun, but a really, really lovely pattern to work from. A few new to me techniques. There was a gathered bind off. Simple, very simple pattern that I really love knitting and gets so much wear. It really does. It's quite easy to make it a dressed up item, so you look a little bit fancier when you're kind of not really feeling it, which I don't really do fancy. But equally, over some jeans or like anything, this is just, it's lovely. I do recommend that. Now, this is one of my favourite yarns I've ever worked with, and I talk about it a lot, and I've worn it absolutely probably every other day, and I mean that's probably quite accurate. I wear this a lot. It's come with me to every event that I've worked at. It comes with me to work most days. The Ranunculus. This pattern I love. It's super speedy to knit on because it's so much fun, the yoke. It's textured, and then it has these lovely sleeves which I adore. I do mine fairly cropped because it sits perfectly with my high-waisted trousers. It goes with everything. I put it over a dress, put it over jean shorts, you name it, yoga, it's perfect. The yarn that I used, I must come back to that, is RAWERK. I love Christina's yarn so much. I met her at the Yarn Emporium. I only had 10 minutes or so to talk just after I'd finished a workshop that I attended, and I knew that I had to go out and chat to Christina. I had a little squeeze of her yarn before I went in, and I just loved the story. So I do recommend having a little look at RAWERK if you like slightly more rustic yarns. This is super soft and squishy. It is pilling, but like I said, I wear this so often, like so often. I love this. So I may as well quickly, while I'm here, just show you this one. So RAWERK isn't expensive. It definitely is not expensive, but I found that a good alternative. I don't really like the company purely because it's a big company, but Drops Alaska works fantastically too. This is my most recent, near enough. This is one of my most recent finished objects, which is my Ranunculus in Drops Alaska. Same, I just loved the grey one so much that I really did have to cast on another one to stop my grey one getting quite so much wear. I also knitted a mohair version, but I'm not including that today because it is short sleeved, and maybe I'll do another video on those if you're interested. So all my little tops and yeah, those items. Let me know maybe if you'd like to see that. And then yeah, cardigan. So this one, I think now it's seen a lot of wear and the drape really is starting to kick in. I'm going to have to do something here. Maybe I can do that today. Just nip up these two together. This was a cardigan that I made up as I went along. It's a simple raglan one with pockets, which I really enjoy. Maybe I'll try and pop in a couple of pictures of some of these. This wool was one that I dyed myself, which it was just, I believe it was a Chester wool company, just merino, with TRISKELION, which is a lovely company based in Wales, their SURI base, which I believe the colourway is Ash Rose. Again, this item I have seen a lot of wear of already. It sort of sits by the bed and I throw it on in the morning, or I put it on before and after yoga. It's quite, it's incredibly soft. I think a lot of people that I wear this around, I come in for a second cuddle when I wear this. So if you are looking for something that is super soft and luxurious that isn't itchy, personally I don't find mohair to be itchy in any way, but if you are adverse to mohair, SURI is a really great option. Yeah. This one is another SURI, so I'll share it. This again was something that I designed myself. This needs a bit of tweaking. It is big sleeves. I've got a big thing about quite wide sleeves with quite high necks. I have managed to do an almost fade. This was a happy accident from our dyers at work. This is QING fibre yarn, and it has a split back. So the back is completely open. It needs a little bit of adjusting to be a proper pattern. But again, after yoga or before yoga, this is so snug. See, it's a little bit too open at the back. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit wobbly, but it's so snug. It's quite warm in here, but it feels good. Yeah, so I've written down what I did for this, so I might try and reknit this again, more successfully in the future. I don't want to waste yarn, and keep knitting things willy-nilly, but I think this would be a really nice pattern to have. It is really good sort of on a summer evening. I've been putting it on as it's somewhere between warm and not. I wonder if I should go all the way back now. Sorry, I'll behave. But yeah, this was quite exciting because I really enjoyed knitting this, and it was one of the first patterns that I made up as I went along. There was maths involved and I did do it ahead of time, and then I am naughty. I still haven't woven in this ends on this, but I've worn it quite a bit. I don't think you need to do anything. You do you. If you want to weave in your ends, you weave in your ends. If you're not that fussed, don't be fussed. It's good. Just gonna sip of my coffee again. So another Caitlin Hunter pattern. This is the Nordiska. I love this one. Again, this is quite a small one. I would love to knit a slightly more, well, I would love to knit maybe like one of the largest sizes of this and omit the V-neck. So do it as just a crew neck. I kind of cast this on just as a project to knit on when we went up north a while back. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. The colourway, I believe it's Peach Melba by La Bien-Aimée. This is the Merino Singles. The lighter green is just an anonymous sock base, I believe, and the darker green is Caviar by QING Fibre. That is almost a bit of more like Dark Forest than Caviar, but that's why I used it. But I wasn't convinced on the Peach Melba, but I really love it, and again with some high-waisted jeans, this is a good one. If you want a V-neck pattern, if you like that style, you want something slightly Nordic, this could be knitted in a really rustic yarn and be beautiful and have a really Nordic feel to it, or, as I've done, slightly more modern, merino-y vibe. It works really well. So if you're going to come forward again, I love that the sun's out. I'm not complaining about the sun. I'm just very aware that you guys might be blinded by my paleness. Yeah, really enjoyable pattern to knit up. If you want something even quicker, the Soldotna's one to look at, and it doesn't use very much wool at all, no matter the size. So in terms of patterns for that, that's quite good, and that is a really good pattern for using up stash. Again, I will talk about that if you would like to see my small garments as opposed to my slightly larger ones. Wow, I didn't realise I'd done so many. This is a variation on the Sugarplum by FABLE Knits. She does it bottom up. I was nervous that I didn't have enough wool, so I did it top down. I didn't do the maths entirely correctly, which just teaches me a lesson. It's all good. So it fits me quite well, but it wasn't the big oversized snuggly jumper that I was hoping for. I seem to have missed that a lot. But like I said, this fits me really well and is quite a flattering shape, so you win some, you lose some. This was another Stratus by Juniper Moon Farm, just their black. It's a very good affordable option to, I think it's is it Loft, that a lot of people use for this sort of weight jumper. It's quite a quick one because it is just a big roll neck, raglan, straight down, and some arms. But yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. If you like bottom up sweaters, I could recommend that quite happily. And then I have more on my needles, but as I said, I'm only going to show you finished. This technically isn't finished, but this was my sort of snuggly Sunday seashell jumper. I will figure out a name for it eventually. Very simple raglan jumper with a 2-colour fisherman's rib, both on the cuffs, the bottom hem and the collar. It's got a little bit of detailing, which is a shame. It's kind of wrongly placed. You can't really see it if it's folded. You can if it's not. I haven't woven the ends in, but it does feel quite nice on. I will try and insert some pictures of me wearing it. I'm not talking very well about this, but this is a pattern that I made up as I went along. I did a little bit of maths to start with, and I knit it in the QING fibre SURI base, and this is seashell, which is the knit stripes you can see, and on this side it is dust, the knit stripes you can see. It's a slightly different version. It's maybe a little bit dustier than the version that we sell, but again, oh, I best head off soon. SURI base is lovely to knit on. It's a little bit trickier than some yarns to knit, just it catches, which means that I find it a little bit slower to knit, which isn't a bad thing. I enjoyed knitting up this. It's so lightweight and small for how much of a jumper I have. I can't really tell you much about this other than I quite enjoyed knitting it. I think that's it. Wow. Like I say, I'm going to come right forward just for the last little bit. I'll maybe make you a little bit taller. Woo! Extreme close-up. This is like Wayne's World stuff. Sorry, I forget. Some might be too young, some might be too old for Wayne's World. What am I saying? Yeah. So that is pretty much everything I have knitted. There has been a second SWONCHO for my mother. There has been a Harry Potter jumper for my sister. There's been, if you know Tin Can Knits or you don't know Tin Can Knits, their Strange Brew book is completely fantastic for colourwork jumpers. It features every kind of weight, every kind of size, and a create your own adventure style jumper. So if you're looking to do colourwork jumpers and you're new to it, I recommend that. If you are slightly more advanced and you just want to know more about creating your own items, again, I recommend that book. I knitted the Marshland for Alex in Let Loppy, and that was, no, Alaphus Loppy by Istex. That was a really fantastic thing to knit. I did it too big and had to felt it slightly, but hopefully that will see some wear. And also I did a Majestic Mountain by Stephen West, which was really fun, totally different for me. Broken rib, suri, single, some welts on the shoulders, completely different to what I would knit myself. I've knitted 3 mochi jumpers, which is a pattern released by QING Fibre. So I have done a lot more knitting than I kind of thought I had, and I love it, and I'm really grateful that I get to share my journey with you and that you have shared your journeys with me a little bit. I get quite excited when I receive messages, comments, emails. I will get back to comments and messages as soon as I possibly can. Like I said, I've had a really strange few weeks here. I have been, probably by this point, been to Oslo. I did a workshop. I helped run a workshop at the village haberdashery, which I will insert footage of either here or I'll do another episode, more normal chitty chat about knitting, and pop it on the end of that one. But like I said, thank you so much for joining me. I can't believe there's so many of you that are So I apologise if the quality isn't quite as good or quite as clear. My camera battery died and I don't really have time to charge it again today, so all I wanted to say is thank you so much again for joining me and being part of my journey. As always, it's lovely to connect. Do give me a shout if you want to collaborate on something together, or you've got an idea you want to talk about, or you've got an idea for any of the projects that I've done. It would be lovely to hear from you. have a lovely time, and thank you for joining me on my 1 year anniversary-ish, and I hope to speak to you very soon. Bye!